As you know, Zed the zombie and Addison the cheerleader faced yet more challenges in the growth of their relationship in Zombies 3, Disney Plus's attempt to blur post-apocalyptica with High School Musical. So far, it's worked quite well. But is this the end of the story of Zedison? With Disney's habit of milking every property they have until it's as dry as the Sahara, it's likely there'll be more. But let's take a look at the facts and ascertain for ourselves whether there will be a Zombies 4 or if the story is finished. The situation. When filming of Zombies 3 was announced back in March of 2021, it looked a lot like it would be the third, especially when the vice president of original movies at Disney TV said, "We wanted to raise the stakes in this third and final installment." So that sounds pretty definitive until you consider that Endgame was the right time to end the MCU and Star Wars was already over before Disney bought it. And they've systematically run both of them into the ground with sequels and spin-offs. Zombies 3 was the mark of the end of a trilogy, a nice three-parter that usually makes for a satisfying conclusion. The equally popular Descendants franchise also came to a close after 3 movies, so there's that too. There's also a sort of finality to Zombies 3 because it didn't end on a cliffhanger like Zombies 2 did. But is this really the end of the story? Let's get into it and beware of spoilers for Zombies 3. Catch up. As Seabrook remains a safe haven for all, Zed the zombie's main goal as Zombies 3 takes place is to become the first zombie to make it to Mountain College, thus thereby opening the door for all other monsters to make their way there. Unfortunately, the plan is derailed by the arrival of aliens in Seabrook, who have fled from their home planet that was destroyed. They are searching for a map to their perfect new utopia, and it is contained conveniently, or rather inconveniently, in Seabrook, because a scout crashed there decades ago. In exchange for helping Zed to have an exceptional student application for college, the aliens get the help of Zed and Addison to discover where the coordinates are. They manage to repair the scout's old message, and it turns out that they are the grandmother of Addison. That then means that Addison is part alien, as we teased in Zombies 2's ending. It turns out that her grandmother, Angie, fell in love with a human called Eli, and in order to blend in, she went to Seabrook High and became a cheerleader thanks to being obsessed with cheerleading. She created the Cheer-Off Trophy, the Seabrook Cup, and so they assume that the coordinates to Utopia must be in the cup. Addison does manage to win the cup with her squad, but then the aliens discover that there's nothing there. And when the aliens need protection from the wolves, Addison reveals her biological nature. It also turns out that her mother knew too. Angie told her to hide themselves for protective reasoning, and Addison's mother tells her that Angie thought of her as her most precious thing. Addison's DNA in fact contains the coordinates to Utopia, but that means that in order to reach the planet, she will have to go with them. Zed can't join as he wouldn't survive the space travel, and this spells doom for the relationship between Addison and the zombie. Zombies 3 is a Disney property though, and it can't really end on such a negative note. So on the day of Seabrook High's graduation, the aliens are about to head to Utopia when they begin to wonder why Angie had made it so hard for them to find the most precious thing in the first place. Have you figured it out yet? Addison suggests that maybe her grandmother realized that Seabrook was the most perfectly imperfect place there is, and thus that's the place where the aliens should stay rather than going to a planet with no conflict. Sometimes you need conflict. Look what happened once we overcame our differences. Together, we made progress. Conflict isn't always bad. Being challenged sometimes pushes us to be better, Addison says, showing wisdom decades in advance of her young years. Thus, does Zombies 3 come to an end with Seabrook establishing itself as a place where cheerleaders, zombies, werewolves, aliens, and all other species can live together? Which is funny because it is very different from the way Disney usually conducts itself. Of course, you know it could always be shaken up again by the arrival of yet another new species, but it could also be left well enough alone now to be the end of the story. Zombies 4. So, is there a likely chance that there will be a Zombies 4? Well, as of yet, there's been nothing at all officially confirmed, and the only thing said was that the third would be the end of the story. Still, the stars seem plenty eager to keep going on. Recently, Milo Manheim, who plays Zed, told Hollywood Life, "You know what? It leaves it open for a fourth, but it also does a really good job of wrapping it up as well." He then added to Good Morning America, "We're going to have to see about Zombies 4. We're going to have to see if you guys like Zombies 3, and then we can decide." Disney. At the moment, despite the optimism of the stars and the popularity of the franchise, it's not looking like we'll see a sudden return to Seabrook with a fourth chapter in the saga. But then, as mentioned previously, Disney is never one to stop producing content if it is popular. So far, they have made a ton of their classic animated films in live action, including Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, and Mulan. Though, the less said about that one, the better. They are also planning to produce Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, though controversy over their casting of a non-white person to play Snow White and Peter Dinklage's tirade about casting dwarves has thrown that production into troubles. However, other recent controversies surrounding the children's entertainment company and its radical political positions have left the company reeling, and its stock price plummeting. Most recently, Thor: Love and Thunder, which was regarded as a sure thing, underperformed at the box office. And Pixar's Toy Story spin-off Lightyear was so widely rejected that it actually lost a couple of $100 million for the House of Mouse. This could mean that they will face big problems in trying to produce more content. But if they can scrape together the budget, some family-friendly zombie fun would probably not be the worst idea and could bring back some memberships to D+. So, we could see a Zombies 4 yet. Animated show. In the meantime, even if a fourth movie never surfaces, there's an expansion of the Zombies franchise that is in development, as Disney announced on Twitter an animated TV show based on the movies. The series, called Zombies: The Reanimated Series, is set to include all the characters, as the tweet stated the following: "Just announced, Zombies: The Reanimated Series is in production." The animated series is based off the #Disney Zombies movies and invites viewers into the daily lives of Zed, Addison, Eliza, Willa, and the entire Seabrook crew. More to come. #Annecy Festival. The plot synopsis for the show says, "The gang may have figured out each other, but they still haven't quite figured out how to survive high school. Get ready for more musical fun and new friends as Seabrook becomes the #1 destination for all kinds of mythical monsters looking for a fresh start. And this means some pretty wild adventures from the cafeteria to the football field, because sometimes the scariest things you have to face is high school." Now, you're probably thinking, but Zed and Addison have now graduated. And you're right, which is a strong indication that the series could actually end up taking place in the timeline between the movies, rather than being a continuation of the story of Zed and Addison as they go to college. This is especially true as the caption specifically says high school. While this is definitely not an announcement of Zombies 4, it does mean that there's plenty more fun and frolics to be had in Seabrook, and Disney intends to expand the universe greatly. Whether this means that they'll never actually produce a fourth movie, instead relying on that reanimated show, or if the show will become so popular that demand for a fourth movie increases, is currently anybody's guess. But if there's money to be made, you can be sure that Disney will be looking to make the most they possibly can. So we could still see a return to the movie universe of zombies in the future. Do you think we'll see a fourth Zombies movie?